Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second shelf. And you saw it already, a second book haul in September. To be fair, the book haul I filmed like 2 weeks ago or something, I called it summer book haul because the books were bought in July and August, but I didn't film a book haul. So this is the proper September book haul, like I need an excuse. And it's not even all the books that I bought in September because I bought 4 or 5, I think, for Victober. But I decided, just sit down to film a TBR next Wednesday for Victober. I know. Do you even know me? And I thought it's a bit, doubled if I film a book haul now and talk about the Victober books and then film a TBR. So the books that I bought specifically for Victober are not included in this book haul, but I will include them in the TBR video. TBR, yes. Anyway, on to the books that I actually want to show you today. And the first one, I start with the buddy reads because yes, buddy reads still continue. I got a lot of comments on my last video. I think the last one or the one before that when I talked about all the buddy reads that I have. And sometimes I overschedule myself. I know that. But yeah, that happens and it's not a big deal. I postpone check-ins then. You know who am I talking to right now. But in October, I will continue with buddy reads, but it's not as crowded as it was in September. Anyway, and I have a new computer because my computer broke down for no good reason last week, 2 days after the warranty expired. Of course, I'm not going to talk about that because then I will rant forever. Books. So the first buddy read is with Kathleen and Adam. We always read once every quarter. We read a book together, and 1 or 2 of these buddy reads with the 3 of us, we pick a Murdoch because we make our way through Iris Murdoch's work. And this time it was my turn to pick, and I picked this one, The Good Apprentice, published in 1985. And it's a setup that I thought was really interesting. I love Murdoch's way of the snarky humor with which she tells her story, and her very flawed characters, especially the man. She is making fun of this very stereotypical or prototype guy in the time she wrote it, English academia. But anyway, so this is about Edward Baltram, who has to deal with the guilt that a prank turned out to be really fatal. He laced a friend's sandwich with some drug, and the friend jumped out of the window. So that's not a spoiler. That's the premise of the book. And then, of course, story will we'll move on from there. I'm really interested. It's a little bit an earlier work. We read some of her later novels, and they weren't, it was not that much of a success. I mean, The Black Prince and The Severed Heads, those are the Murdochs that I really love. So Nuns and Soldiers, the one we read, I should probably mention that. That was the last one I read together with Adam and Kathleen. And all 3 of us thought, meh. So I have high hopes for this one. Then a buddy read again with Joe Smith. I'm very much looking forward to reading with you again, Joe. And she picked, she saw this on my to-read list, Life Sciences by Joy Sormand, I think, because it's French and it's translated from the French by Lara Vergniaud. And the French had been published in 2017 and this one in 2021. And we will read that towards the end of the month. And it is, again, the premise that I thought was really interesting. It's about women and illness. and there is a family of women or who all have since generations a kind of weird quote unquote illness. But of course the theme is broader, that medicine is very much male centered, like everything else in the world. So if you have, for instance, trials for a certain new medication, it's always targeted at the male audience, and then women just have to hope that it works the same way for them without any additional side effects. So I really interested in the premise. I've never read this author. If you know her, French author, let me know. And it's also a project that I want to talk about a little later when I show you two more books. This is by Restless Books, because I am attempting to spend some time now the last months of the year, and also maybe make it an official project next year. But I want to spend some time with books published by smaller presses, small independent presses, translated works, and also works from the global south. This obviously is not, it's from France, but I'm not sure yet what I want to focus on, but those are the three areas that I'm interested: small presses, translated work, global south. So we'll see where this leads me and whether it will be a project for 2023. The next buddy read is with Kathleen. We make our way, if you follow my channel, you know that Kathleen, who used to have a channel, I will leave the link down below because she made videos recently. But anyway, and for Adam, I didn't mention that. As always, the Instagram link will be down below. But we read feminist literature, feminist nonfiction in particular, but also some feminist novels. And the one we picked now is by Mary Ann Sieghart, The Authority Gap, which was published a year ago. And it's just what it says on the tin: why women are still taken less seriously than men when they hold certain positions. So I'm really interested. I don't know this author either. So I'm really interested because it's something that Kathleen and I, let me speak for myself, that I also encounter in real life. Not that I'm an authority figure, but I had a pretty successful career as a lawyer. I still work in the field to earn money, even though I write books. But it's this idea, that you still feel, even after all these years, that at times you're just not taken as seriously as the guy sitting next to you. So, yeah. Then I picked up a book that I just came across by chance on Scribd. And I started it on Scribd and really liked the first couple of chapters. And then I decided to buy it as a book. And I will just check the pub date is 2021. And that is this one, Gail Crowther, 3 Martini Afternoons at the Ritz, The Rebellion of Sylvia Plath and Anne Saxon. Like I said, if you follow me, you know that I'm also trying to dive more into poetry. I have 2 books coming up. Also for the 1001 books I have to read before I die, written by women, because there is poetry included there. Sylvia Plath has always been one of my interest points, let's put it like that, and Anne Saxon as well, but I've found very little literature on Anne Saxon. And Gail Crowther is a scholar mainly known for her work on Sylvia Plath, but when I came across this, this is not Sylvia Plath and Anne Saxon, but let's not talk about that. How they are made into these kind of fashion icons is a bit stupid. It's a beautiful cover as such, but I don't think it's a fitting cover for Gail, for the 2 women. Anyway, but yes, so I'm interested in their relationship. I read another book where that talked about the meeting of more than one artist at a certain period of time, but the relationship between Sylvia Plath and Anne Sexton, I think, is interesting because they were both poets and they both struggled with similar issues, I would say. So yes, talking about Anne Sexton, finally I bought this Mercy's selected poems. I didn't really know what to pick and where to start. So I have no idea kind of book that is selected poems. I know that is probably not, I mean, it's like when you buy music and you buy the greatest hits. And that's not, if you really want to delve into an author or a musician or a band, that's probably not what you do. But I thought this is at least a place for me to start. And then the two last books are, again, books from smaller presses. The first one is by Noor Naga. She is an Egyptian Canadian author, also a poet. But this is a novel, If an Egyptian Cannot Speak English, published, I think also last year. Let me check. No, this year even. Earlier this year. And it is about two people in post-Arab Spring Cairo who fall in love, and then the various points of views. I didn't pick it for the story specifically, but I picked it because it's a smaller press, Grey Wolf, this one, and because of the Global South idea that I had, that I want to shift my focus a little bit from, the Western authors to the Global South author, even though this is, she lives in Toronto. Yeah, so I know, it's not maybe not really qualifying, but it's a first attempt to get into that type of literature. So this one, and then the next is also by a small press. What is it? Carsonet Press. Vani Kabildeo, Measures of Expatriation, which is prose poems and poems. She also published a novel, which I think I will get next, but I wanted to start somewhere. And again, Global South, Vani Kabildeo is a Caribbean author from Trinidad, but partly Scottish, so she lives in the UK. Again, I know that's not really diving into the Global South. It's just more like, putting my big toe in the water. But it's still, it interested me. I thought I always interested in the combination of poets who also write novels. So that has been something also relatively new, that I wanted to have this combination, which also, by the way, this author is also a poet. So this one is, I can't give you more than the fact that it's about being an expatriate. And even though I'm obviously not the expatriate that she's talking about, because I'm white, I'm from the West, I'm privileged, but I still have this experience of living in various countries, born in Germany and then living in the US for a little while and then living in the Netherlands for a longer while. So this idea of home and what does it mean to voluntarily leave your country, because that's something completely different, obviously, than being a migrant who is forced, a refugee who is forced to leave because of war or other circumstances. But still, the whole expat thing interests me. So that's why I bought this one. And look at me, 15 minutes for a book haul. I mean, it was small. Only 7 books. But anyway, so this was my September book haul, except for the Victober literature that I will introduce to you next Wednesday when I film my TBR. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know if you're familiar with any of the authors, and especially also if you have recommendations for Global South, female authors, contemporary. I want to start with still living authors. If you have any suggestions or recommendations, let me know. And I'm looking forward to any other comments that you might have. And I'll see you all soon in the next one.